Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire presents the Star Wars Holiday Special, a parody radio play.
It's almost time for Life Day, and our rebel heroes are racing to get Chewbacca back to Kashyyyk. Kazook, in time to spend the special day with his family. Unfortunately, an Imperial blockade is hindering all efforts for celebration. In space, Han and Chewbacca are seated in the cockpit of the Falcon, speeding across the galaxy. Two massive Star Destroyers chase the Falcon and fire on her. Several of the laser blasts connect with the shields.
That's it. I'm turning back. I know your family's waiting. I know it's an important day. All right, we'll give it a try. I'll set short coordinates. We won't jump far. I'll get you back there in time, pal. Trust me.
A Star Destroyer opens fire on the Falcon, hitting the shields.
Our only hope now is to outrun that Imperial garbage scow, though. I'm going to light speed.
Han Solo smiles.
That's the spirit. You'll be celebrating Life Day before you know it. Stand by. Here's where we say goodbye to our unpleasant friends.
The Falcon makes the jump to hyperspace. Meanwhile, on Kazook, Chewbacca's family quietly prepare for Life Day, wondering on his whereabouts. Mala, Chewbacca's wife, is busy in the kitchen cleaning and cooking, busying herself against the worry. Itchy, Chewbacca's father, is sitting in a chair, gently carving X-Wing toys out of wood, and Chewie's son, Lumpy, comes down the steps playing with one of those very X-Wings that his grandfather has carved. He then proceeds to fly the X-Wing around Itchy's head. Mala makes a reluctant Lumpy leave his grandfather alone, and with a growl, to take out the garbage. On his way over to the garbage can, Lumpy sees some cookies on the table and picks one up. Mala sees this and makes him put it back. Then she hands him the garbage can he is to take out. Lumpy leaves to take out the garbage, and Mala goes back into the kitchen. As Lumpy exits the front door, he sets the can next to it. He looks through the railing to the forested ground far below. The Chewbacca family home is a treehouse far above the forested ground. He then looks cautiously back at the house to see if anyone is watching. The coast being clear, he climbs up onto the wooden railing and walks along it like a circus tightrope walker. Meanwhile, back inside, Mala walks over to Itchy and pats him on the shoulder. She then walks over to some shelves and gets down a frame with a picture of Chewbacca in it. Itchy walks over to her. Mala goes back to the kitchen, resuming her work as Itchy gets a cartridge from a shelf and looks around for Lumpy, who comes bustling back indoors. Lumpy runs up to him. They head over to the family's hologram table, and Itchy inserts a cartridge. A strange circus of holographic aliens appear. They dance, do acrobatics, and in general caper and jump around in a colorful and entertaining way. Lumpy and his grandfather are very amused and clap as the show ends. Mala makes Lumpy come over and dry the dishes, who reluctantly shrugs but does what he is told. Then she goes over to a computer console and pushes some buttons. She receives the message, "You have reached traffic control." Itchy, curious, walks over to Mala. She pushes more buttons and a message saying, "No starships in the area," is displayed. Mala switches off the computer. Mala and Itchy go to the shelves and pull aside two panels to reveal a hidden communications monitor. Luke Skywalker, working on his ship in his workshop, appears on the monitor.
What's that? Oh, R2. Look, it's Chewbacca's family.
Chewbacca's family lovingly wave at Luke and R2 through the monitors as Luke gives R2 a tool.
Here, keep working on it, R2. Hello, Mala, Itchy. Hiya, Lumpy.
The Wookiees wave at Luke through the monitor.
Where's Chewbacca?
Luke holds up his hands as if to slow them down.
Whoa, wait a minute. One at a time.
Itchy growls at Lumpy, and Lumpy walks away mad at him. Mala then tries to explain to Luke what is wrong.
Yeah?
The part Luke was working on starts smoking in the workshop, and R2 bumps into Luke's leg. Luke just motions him away without looking at what he wants.
Not now, R2.
Mala gets down the picture of Chewbacca off the shelf and holds it up to her monitor. This time, Luke notices the problem about the smoke.
Wait a minute. I don't like the looks of this. Let me get this fixed.
More smoke pours out of the X-Wing engine that Luke was working on. He takes a tool to it and adjusts something.
Oh, R2, you're supposed to be watching that. There. That ought to hold it, I think.
Luke waves the smoke away and makes another adjustment. He then looks back at the monitor.
What's up?
Luke sees the picture of Chewbacca that Mala is holding.
Chewbacca. Yeah, well, bring him to the screen. I want to say hello.
The Wookiees sadly shake their heads at Luke.
You don't know where he is? He's not there yet? Is that it?
The Wookiees nod their heads in agreement at Luke's answer.
Oh, boy. Well, all I can tell you is that he and Han left on schedule. If he's not there now, they're way overdue. There must have been trouble.
More smoke comes out of the engine.
R2, please. This is important. Now, Mala, listen, calm down. I mean, you know how Han and Chewbacca are. Anything could have happened. They could have, stopped off someplace and got a cheeseburger. Maybe they were held up by, an asteroid storm. Listen, I wouldn't worry about Chewbacca. I know him, and he hasn't missed a life day yet, right?
The Wookiees nod in agreement at Luke on their monitor.
Well, there you go. He's not going to miss this one either. It's just taking him a little bit longer to get there. That's all. He'll make it.
Luke starts to turn away, but notices the sad expression on Mala's face.
Come on, don't look so worried. Now Chewie's not going to want to come home to a house full of long faces, is he? Come on, Mala. Let's see a little smile. Come on.
Mala finally gives in and smiles for Luke. Luke smiles back at her in response.
Now that's better. Try to enjoy your life day. I got to get back to this engine, though. I think we might have it solved.
R2 touches the engine and smoke comes out of it, very heavily, filling the entire workshop.
Oh, R2! What are you doing? Oh, no.
Luke looks up and pats R2 on his dome.
It's okay. Nobody's perfect.
Smoke continues to fill Luke's workshop, and the Wookiees' monitor's picture breaks up. Mala closes the secret panels to conceal the monitor. Mala walks back over to the communication console and pushes more buttons as the screen comes to life. The screen flashes "Stand by," followed by "Connect." The next screen pulls up the message, "Trading Post Wookiee Planet C." A scene lays out on the monitor of a goods shop filled with glowing objects, small machines, and an assortment of spacey technology. An Imperial guard looking around at the goods for sale. The owner of the establishment walks into the store and notices the Imperial. The owner of this shop is the trader Saundan, a human male, kindly looking but scruffy with graying hair.
Hello, Imperial Guard. I suppose you want to see my identification.
He reaches into his pocket as if to pull out his identification.
No, I'm off duty. I've come to look around your shop.
Well, good. Look around. Browse around. Make yourself at home. As you can see, I've got just about everything a man or Wookiee would want.
The Imperial Guard, who is looking around a table of goods, picks up a clear bag and examines it.
Oh, here. Let me show you this. I really love this.
Saundan picks up a clear box with a dark back on it. He blows off the dust and shines it with his sleeve, then decides that it is not good enough.
No, not for you?
He then picks up another item and decides that it too is not good enough for the Imperial Guard either. He then gets one that has a green base and smiles.
Ah, here we are. Here it is. A pocket-sized aquarium. Wonderful, isn't it?
He hands the aquarium to the guard, who holds it up to the light to show the fish that are inside of it.
And you could take it with you anywhere. And the tank is a snap to clean.
I hate fish.
The Imperial Guard places the small tank back on the table as he continues to browse.
Well, so do I, as a matter of fact. I take a drink once in a while, but I just thought I'd show you some of the stupid stuff those Wookiees purchase from me. Oh, here.
Saundan walks over to a shelf behind them and collects a container.
Here's a hot little item that seems to be moving pretty rapidly these days.
He sets the box on the table and opens it. It makes a warbling buzzer sound, and it makes the Imperial look up. Saundan suddenly realizes that Mala is on the communication screen.
Oh, excuse me. I've got a wall screen customer.
He turns to the wall screen.
Good to see you again, Mala. Don't worry, Mala. I know just why you're calling. You're wondering when that shaggy carpet you ordered will arrive at your home. Let me assure you, madame, it is on its way. You know it was made especially for you by a little old woman 4 planets away. She did it all by herself. In fact, you might say she did it by hand. Solo. Though it's going to take some time to get to you, I know you'll understand.
Saundan looks over his shoulder to see if the Imperial Guard is paying attention to him.
You do understand, don't you? Terrific! By the way, I'll be by later to drop off that extra proton energy pack.
Mala waves farewell.
You're welcome.
As the call is terminated, Saundansky turns back to the guard, who is still browsing around the shop. He proceeds to pick up the item from the box that he was showing before the wall screen call.
What's the matter? Don't you like this?
It's just a groomer.
Just a groomer, you say? It's a lot more than that.
A groomer.
Saundani picks up the manual for the groomer from its box.
Evidently, you haven't read the instructions, the warranty, the guarantee. Besides shaving and hair trimming, it's guaranteed to lift stains off of clothing, faces, and hands. It cleans teeth, fingers, toenails, washes eyes, pierces ears, calculates, modulates, and syncopates like rhythms, and can repeat the entire Imperial Code, all 17 volumes, in half the time of the old XP-21. Just the thing to keep you squeaky clean.
He puts the manual down on the table.
I use one of these all the time.
Really?
Saundaddy glances down at himself and notices how unkempt he looks.
Well, not all of the time, but some of the time. Oh, another outstanding, feature of this little model. You can recharge it by simply plugging it into any ordinary laser outlet.
The Imperial Guard takes the groomer from Saundan's hands and puts it on his belt.
I'll take it.
Good. I thought you would. Well, would you like to pay me something for it or give me something in trade?
I said I'll take it.
The Imperial Guard turns and leaves the shop with the groomer.
That's a load off my mind. I thought I might embarrass you when I told you it was a gift. I don't like embarrassing people. I don't like being embarrassed myself. That's why I don't like to embarrass people. I just said that. Just a groomer.
Two Star Destroyers left in the dust by the Millennium Falcon are searching nearby space for the smuggler's ship.
We've ordered a blockade and a curfew and started a search operation, sir. It's just a matter of time before we find the rebels.
I want the rebels located and identified, if it means searching every household in the system.
Meanwhile, back on Kazook, Lumpy and Mala are in the kitchen finishing the dishes. Lumpy gets done drying the dishes and hands the towel to his mother. He waves at her and leaves the kitchen. Mala just shakes her head at her petulant little child. She then turns on a monitor above the counter to a cooking show. A strange-looking four-armed cook, the eccentric Chef Gourmanda, comes on and begins to make Bantha surprise. The chef is frenetic and green and uses her multiple arms to stir, 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 beat, stir, whip, whip, stir, whip, beat. Mala gets frustrated with keeping up with the chef and shuts off her monitor. She takes her pot and puts it on the floor, wiping her hands on her apron and presumably forgetting about dinner. Back in space, several TIE fighters are engaged with the Millennium Falcon. The ships exchange fire and one of the TIE fighters are destroyed. Inside the cockpit of the Falcon, Han Solo smiles at Chewie, who puts his arms around his captain.
All right. The coordinates weren't the best. Out of the frying pan into the fryer, huh, pal? How should I know we'd come out of hyperspace into the middle of an Imperial convoy? At least against these fighters, we got more of a chance, however slim. You can say that again, pal. This is one life day we won't soon forget. Wait, I lost control of the remote cannons. I'm gonna have to run back and operate the aft gun manually. Stay on things here. Why do I always think that taking you home for life day is gonna be easy?
Meanwhile, back on Kashyyyk, Mala is standing near their shelves staring at a picture of Chewie that she is holding. Itchy is sleeping in a chair until a loud buzzer sounds and wakes him up. Mala and Itchy look around in alarm, not knowing what it means. The wall screen comes on and suddenly an Imperial officer appears. Mala and Itchy walk over to the screen to see what the announcement is.
Due to the suspected rebel activity on the Kazook planet, the Empire has declared martial law. A blockade has been set up around the planet. No ships will be permitted to land or to take off until further notice.
Suddenly, a knock is heard at the door. Mala takes Lumpy towards the kitchen, and Itchy goes to answer the door.
It's me, Saundan.
Itchy opens the door and lets in their friend Saundizzle, who is carrying a bag with a box in it in one hand and something that looks like a radio unit in the other. Both have bows on them. Obviously presents for Life Day.
Hiya, Itchy. I brought you that proton pack. You know, for the thingamabob, the mind evaporator. That's it. The mind evaporator. Boy, am I glad to see you folks. How are my favorite Wookiees today? Why, all the long, hairy faces. I made it through the Imperial Patrol, didn't I? If I made it, Chewie and Han will. Is this all the big hello I get?
Suddenly, Lumpy runs up to him and gives him a hug. Saundizzy takes the box out of the bag and hands it to Lumpy.
I brought you something special, short stuff. You want it, you got it. Happy Life Day. I'd love to make a Wookiee happy.
Lumpy gleefully takes the box and runs upstairs.
And now, for the lovely lady of the house.
Saundan picks up the other package and offers it to Mala.
Happy Life Day.
Mala starts to take the box from him, but Saundan holds on to it.
Now wait a minute, not so fast. What does an old friend get?
Mala gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he gives her the box.
That's more like it.
Lumpy has run up to his bedroom. There are toys scattered all over, typical of a Wookiee his age, including a stuffed bantha and small X-Wings and TIE fighters. He sits the box on the floor and opens the package from Saundan noodles. Inside is some kind of electronic do-it-yourself kit. Lumpy pulls it out and dumps all of the parts on his floor. Downstairs, the adults are still talking.
Itchy, I know what you'd like.
Itchy and Son Diddly-Doo walk over to the mind evaporator, and Itchy sits in the chair.
I'll just insert this proton pack.
Son Ding Dong inserts a proton pack into the back of the mind evaporator chair and places a small cartridge in the arm of the chair.
Now then, Itchy, I thought you might like this. It's one of those, it's kinda hard to explain. Wow, if you know what I mean, wow. Put that right in there. Happy Life Day, Itchy. And I do mean Happy Life Day.
The program starts with a swirling kaleidoscope of light.
Itchy watches a lovely, feather-headed alien with quite a bit of pent-up frustration. It's a pleasure-inducing program that runs straight into his brain.
Out on a distant rebel base planet, the protocol droid C-3PO is trying to make a connection on the communications device. Leia is behind a desk working when Mala answers at her end of the line.
Ah, Princess, I have made the connection. You may speak now, if you wish.
Leia gets up from the desk and quickly walks over to the monitor.
Mala, it's good to see you. Happy Life Day.
Oh, she says it may be a happy life day for you. But personally, she's seen happier ones.
3PO, I don't want to tie up the channels. Mala, could you do me a favor and send either Chewbacca or Han Solo to the screen, please?
She says she would like to grant your request, but is quite unable to do so.
You mean they haven't arrived yet?
She says there has been no contact.
Yes, 3PO, I think I understand her message. Oh, that Imperial patrol must be giving them more trouble than we bargained for. Oh, Mala, are you alone?
If you would permit me, Your Highness. No, she's not alone. She's with a friend.
Mala, could he come to the screen, please?
Mala growls and motions for Son Diddly-Diddly-Doo to come over to the monitor. He does as she says.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Saundanovitz, a local trader, a friend of the rebellion, and a member of the Alliance.
Good. Saundan, look, I know I can count on you to take care of my friends until their leader returns. You'll do that for me, won't you?
Yes, indeed, ma'am. That's what I'm here for.
Mala growls and puts her arm around Son Ding Dong very affectionately.
She's expressing her warmth towards the trader.
Look, I can see you're in good hands, Mala. I'll contact you again soon.
The call ends.
Now then, Mala, what's that I smell? Oh, could it be some of those famous Wookiee cookies?
Mala shakes her head yes, and they head towards the kitchen. Unfortunately, they also leave open the panels that conceal their secret communications monitor. Meanwhile, back on the Falcon...
I told you we'd make it. Did I ever let you down? I feel the same way about you too, pal, and your family. I've never seen so much Imperial traffic in this system.
Several Imperial ships surround Kashyyyk. Kazook.
Better land on the north side. It'll be safer there. So it's a long walk. Little exercise never hurt anybody. Happy Life Day, pal.
The Falcon flies over a forest on the surface of the planet of Kazook. Back at the treehouse, Lumpy looks up at the sound of a ship flying overhead and becomes very excited. Downstairs, Mala and Son Ding Dong are seated at the table as they hear the sound of the ship. They stand up excitedly.
Sounds like a starship. What'd I tell ya? Must be Chewbacca now.
Lumpy happily bounds down the stairs towards the front door as Mala meets him there. They open it only to be greeted by two stormtroopers with blasters pointed at them. The stormtroopers enter, followed by an Imperial guard and an Imperial officer. Sondork walks quietly over to the secret communications monitor and closes the panels to conceal it. The Imperial guard walks up to the officer with some device in his hand.
This unit is occupied by 4 Wookiees, 2 adult males, 1 adult female, and 1 male child.
The officer snaps his finger and dismisses the Imperial guard. He then walks over to where the huddled group of Wookiees and Sonduty are gathered.
Where is the other Wookiee male?
Officer, maybe I could be of some help there, sir.
Who are you, and what are you doing in this Wookiee house?
I'm a traitor in this district, you see. The truth of the matter is she had a terrible fight with her husband, and he just stormed right out.
Your identification.
I
said it! Your identification.
Oh, identification. Yes, it's a very important thing, identification. I never leave the shop without my identification. It's very important, just in times like these.
The Imperial officer gets the pad from the guard and snaps his fingers at the stormtrooper. The stormtrooper points his blaster in Sondor's face.
I just found my identification. I think it's in my pocket.
He pulls his identification out of his pocket and hands it to the Imperial officer.
Search the dwelling.
The officer snaps his finger to signal his men. They begin to spread out and search the house.
Officer, you may notice that little leather case I carry my identification card in. I whipped that up myself. That's a pretty fast-selling little item. Well, some people like to keep things neat and clean, and that's why I have the little leather case for the identification card. As a matter of fact, if any of you guys want a couple of those leather cases, I've got a couple of extra ones here.
One of the stormtroopers pulls open one of the panels that conceal the communications monitor. He doesn't notice that the other panel opens and closes it. Saundan, who is watching this, is very relieved.
Oh, officer, that picture you're looking at right now was taken quite a few years ago. I mean, that's one of me. I've gained quite a bit of weight since then.
Saundanito laughs nervously again. Then the Imperial guard kneels down in front of Lumpy.
Hello, little guy. Where's your daddy?
Lumpy snaps at the Imperial guard.
Hey! They have no respect for authority.
The guard pulls his arm back to strike Lumpy, but Mala steps forward and growls angrily at him. Sonduter steps between them and separates them.
Excuse me, I beg your pardon? Maybe you know my brother's boy. He's a member of the Imperial militia. He must be 24 or 25 years old by now. He's a great little guy.
Your identification is in order. You can go now.
The officer walks over to Sondude and gives him back his identification.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I just have a little more work to finish up here. And, oh, by the way, while I'm finishing up here, why don't you boys take it easy, relax. Put your feet up and make yourself at home. Wookiee food isn't the greatest. I mean, it's a little chewy. But I'm sure we can whip up something in the kitchen we could all eat. Yeah, you don't mind, do you, Mala? Mala, will you come into the kitchen to help me?
Mala goes to the table to get her Life Day gift on the way to the kitchen. The guard pulls it away from her and examines it.
What are you doing with that thing? That's a very delicate piece of workmanship.
Sondodo goes to Mala and comforts her. The guard puts the machine back on the table.
All right, Mala, it's all right.
Sondini speaks to the guard.
The slightest jarring will mess up the whole works. If you're going to play around with it, let me show you how.
He reaches towards the machine and a stormtrooper pulls his blaster and puts it in his face.
Relax, I gotta turn it on, don't I?
The Imperial Guard motions for the stormtrooper to put his blaster up. The stormtrooper complies.
Just sit down and enjoy it, okay?
Saundan pulls a chair out for the guard, and the guard sits.
Here we go.
Saundan opens the front of the box, which folds down. He fools around needlessly with it, pressing dials and shifting sliding levers. He even shakes it gently. He then sees a flying bug and claps it in his hands. He then drops it to the floor and stomps on it. This is too much for the guard. He stands up and yells at Saundan.
Will you get on with it?
Okay.
Saundan pushes one button on it and walks away. The box starts to produce music and the guard sits back down in front of it. With the beat, a small pink light flashes. A horrible music video plays. The guard is into it, tapping his fingers to the beat. Saundan dances behind the Imperial. As the music ends, the band slowly disappears, only to leave the pulsating pink light. When the music comes to an end, the light stops. Saundan walks back over to the guard.
I knew you'd like it.
Your work here is finished. You may leave now.
I guess you're right. It's about all I can do for now. I hope you guys find what you're looking for. Keep up the good work.
Saundan turns to go, but stops where the Wookiees are huddled.
Mala, goodbye. Itchy, please.
Itchy hands him the bag that he brought Lumpy's gift in earlier.
All right. Finish the search of the residence.
The Imperial officer snaps his fingers at his troops. Saundan Scooby-Doo, who is just about gone, turns back into the house.
Oh, I almost forgot. I want to leave you my card in case any of you need any of, A
stormtrooper stops him with his blaster pointed at his face. Saundan, baby don't go, turns to leave again.
Okay, I'm leaving.
Investigate the upper area. Check for any rebel material. Anything to connect this household with the Alliance.
Semidon again heads back into the house.
Don't forget about those protective cases for your identification card. I've got a good item. No.
The stormtrooper again stops Sunchip Dawn with his blaster.
That's it. I'm gone.
Sunrise Dawn finally leaves.
Finish the search of the house. We have other areas to cover today.
The officer points his hand in a stormtrooper's face.
You, take the upper area.
Lumpy tries to stop the stormtrooper from going upstairs, but is violently pushed aside by him. Mala jumps to her son's aid, only to be stopped by the other stormtrooper's blaster in her face. The officer pushes the blaster away from Mala.
We don't want to have to hurt anyone. That's not what we're here for.
The officer snaps his finger at the stormtrooper to dismiss him. The stormtrooper walks away.
But when my men get angry, I can't always control them. We are going to continue our search. Now keep him quiet and I'll forget this ever happened.
Mala takes Lumpy over to a table and a chair. There is a small yellow box and a pair of headphones on it. Lumpy sits down and puts on the headphones, then presses a button. Strange lettering appears on the small screen. Lumpy looks around to see if anyone is watching him. He sees a stormtrooper and a guard going up the staircase. Lumpy pushes a button on the box and his favorite cartoon, Han Solo and the Raiders of the Lost Talisman, starts on the screen. He watches his father with Han Solo and Luke Skywalker search for a talisman and wonders who this Boba Fett dude is. Vader appears in the cartoon and Lumpy has a fit and starts howling. The Imperial officer hears him howling and walks over to him. Lumpy quickly pushes a button on the yellow box and a game comes up.
What is it now? Oh, is that all? Just some silly game?
Lumpy nods his head yes. The officer walks away and leaves him alone. Lumpy pushes another button and the cartoon comes back. In the cartoon, Han, Luke, and Chewie team up with Boba Fett to search for a magic talisman. That is until Fett acknowledges his true allegiance to Darth Vader. Once the cartoon ends, Lumpy applauds. The Imperial Guard and a stormtrooper tear apart Lumpy's room searching for rebel material. They throw his toys and belongings all over. The guard even decides to tear the head off of Lumpy's stuffed Bantha doll. He then tosses it to the floor.
Let's go, Trooper.
The guard and stormtrooper come back down the stairs.
Nothing up there, officer.
Go clean up your room, little Wookie.
Lumpy reluctantly turns off his game and goes up to his room. He howls at the condition the Imperials left his room. Mala looks upset at hearing her son's cry.
That will keep your son busy for a while.
Upstairs, Lumpy sees his Bantha doll in pieces. He picks up the head and hugs it to his chest. He then picks up the body and carries the part over to his bed. He lays the head and the body on his bed and covers them up with a blanket. He busies himself putting together the mini transmitter Saundan gave him. He watches an instructional video with a glitchy android on how to put it together. Downstairs, the Imperial officer and guard are talking quietly with one another when the wall screen beeps and all of the Imperials walk over to see what the announcement is. The screen shows a broadcast from Tatooine from space. The video shows just how bad life on a sand planet is. It is an attempt to make everyone else feel better about their lot in life with the relief they aren't on Tatooine. It is required viewing for all members of the Imperial forces. Mostly, the video displays a cantina complete with a band, dancers, and patrons drinking and cavorting. It is a story of unrequited love between a man and his bartender. Life is truly bad on Tatooine. Suddenly, over the comlink...
Return to base! Return to base! Return to base!
Message received and obeyed.
The officer says into the comlink. He closes the antenna and puts the comlink back on his belt. He turns to his men.
We leave at once.
The stormtroopers turn to go. The officer stops one of them.
You, trooper, stay here. There's a male missing from this household, and I want you to be here when he returns. It's possible he's one of the rebels we're looking for.
The officer, guard, and a stormtrooper all leave the house. From upstairs, a noise is heard. The stormtrooper goes up the staircase to investigate. The stormtrooper walks up behind Lumpy, who is on the floor using his mini transmitter.
Return to base. Return to base. Return to base.
Lumpy turns to see the stormtrooper. He picks up the machine and backs up against the wall. The stormtrooper approaches the terrified Lumpy. He roughly grabs the machine from Lumpy's hands and throws it to the floor. It breaks into pieces. Lumpy runs past him and goes downstairs. The stormtrooper follows. Lumpy runs out the door. The stormtrooper stops in the doorway with his blaster aimed at Lumpy. Chewie is standing to one side of the stormtrooper. He starts to take his bowcaster from his shoulder, but stops because of his son's danger. The stormtrooper motions with his blaster for him to go over by Lumpy. Han Solo sneaks up behind the stormtrooper and knocks the blaster out of his hand. Han makes a move to grab the fallen blaster, and so does the stormtrooper. The stormtrooper trips over some wood on the porch. He breaks through the railing and falls to his death. Han barely catches his balance and saves himself from the same fate.
Lumpy, are there any more inside? Come here, sweetheart.
Han picks up Lumpy in his arms.
It's okay. It's all right now. Everything's okay now. Here's your daddy.
Han hands Lumpy over to Chewie's waiting arms.
Boy, has he grown.
Han enters the home and is greeted by the Wookiee family.
It's okay, everybody. He's gone.
Chewie and Lumpy come in the door. Chewie leaves his bowcaster on the floor by the door. Han goes up to Mala and hugs her.
How are you, Mala? Haha. Itchy, you look wonderful. Doing well, huh? Your son's been doing you proud. He saved my tail more than a couple times. Look, Mala, I'd love to, but I can't. I gotta get back to the Falcon before somebody stumbles across her.
Lumpy runs up to Han and hugs his leg.
Hey, would you look at Lumpy? He sure has grown, huh?
Han kneels down in front of Lumpy.
And I think his voice is changing.
Lumpy lowers his head in embarrassment.
Come on, I'm just teasing you. Well, look.
Han stands up and faces Mala.
I gotta go. Have a nice life day, but be careful. A lot of troopers in the area. Chewie, check and see if the coast is clear, will ya? You're all like family to me.
Chewie looks out the door.
I know. Bye.
Han turns and walks towards the door.
Okay, pal?
Han turns back to the Wookiee family and waves.
Bye, everybody.
Outside, Han and Chewie embrace.
Well, pal, be careful.
Han sees the stormtrooper's blaster on the ground. He picks it up and tosses it off the porch.
They'll be looking for him. Take care.
Han leaves. Chewie goes back inside his home. Chewie closes the door and picks up his bowcaster. He and Mala exchange howls. He places his bowcaster on the woodpile next to their fireplace and hugs his father. He then hugs Mala. They are interrupted by a sudden knock at the door. Chewie grabs his bowcaster and opens the door. Saundan enters the home to a bowcaster aimed at him.
Ah, you sure know how to make a guy feel welcome.
Chewie lowers his weapon and shakes his hand.
Glad you're home, Chewbacca.
Lumpy runs up to the closed door and tries to look outside.
If you're looking for who I'm thinking you're looking for, forget him. We won't be bothered by him again.
Suddenly, the wall screen goes on and an Imperial officer appears.
This is a general alert. Calling Officer B4711. Officer B4711. We are unable to reach you on your comlink. Is there a problem? You are instructed to turn it on immediately.
The Wookiees are disturbed by this announcement.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. I think I can handle this.
Saundan pulls out his identification card and inserts it into the wall screen's controls. He pushes some buttons and the screen comes to life. The Imperial officer is again on the screen.
We have two-way communication, Trader Saundan. Is this a report about the missing trooper?
It is, sir. Trooper B4711 was here with 3 other men. They left, and he remained. As soon as they had gone, he packed a lot of Chewie food from this house and robbed me blind. Then he took off for the hills.
Very well. We'll send out a search party.
Thank you, sir.
Call ends. Saundan pushes some buttons and removes his card and puts it back into his leather case.
Yes, sir. Identification is very important. Helps you maintain contact with the Empire at times like these.
The Wookiees growl at him. Chewbacca shakes his hand.
Lumpy, Itchy, Chewie, Mala, this day is for you. Have a wonderful celebration.
Lumpy goes to him and hugs his leg.
And may the Force be with you.
Sexy Dawn turns and leaves the Wookiee home. The Wookiees all go to a shelf to retrieve their glass globes that have something gold in them. The lights gently dim in the room as the Wookiees gather together. They are lit by an increasingly bright, shimmering light. They raise the globes into the air. Life Day is upon them at last. The Wookiee family is standing in front of a star field. They are in red robes and are still holding their glass globes. Suddenly, there is a procession of Wookiees heading into a bright light in the stars. Dozens of Wookiees in red robes are gathered together. They each have one of the glass globes. Now we are gathered in a great hall with the stars shining in the background and a heavenly fog at the Wookiees' feet. R2 and 3PO are on a raised platform at the end of the hall, standing in front of a massive tree trunk, the Tree of Life, as the Wookiees hum. The two go over to Chewbacca, who is also on the platform.
Happy Life Day,
he says to Chewbacca, who meets him on the platform.
Happy Life Day, everyone. And we're certainly glad that we're allowed to celebrate it. Yes, R2. It is indeed true that at times like this, R2 and I wish we were more than just mechanical beings. And were really alive, so that we could share your feelings with you.
Suddenly, Luke, Han, and Leia all come out onto the platform. Leia runs to Chewie and hugs him.
Chewbacca!
Chewie growls and shakes Luke's hand.
Chewbacca, we are so relieved to hear that you are all right.
All of you are an important part of my life, pal. I'm glad I could be here.
This holiday is yours, but we all share with you the hope that this day brings us closer to freedom and to harmony and to peace. No matter how different we appear, we're all the same in our struggle against the powers of evil and darkness. I hope that this day will always be a day of joy in which we can reconfirm our dedication and our courage. And more than anything else, our love for one another. This is the promise of the Tree of Life.
Leia breaks out into a song as our heroes lovingly look on.
We celebrate a day of peace, a day of harmony, a day of joy we can all share together joyously, a day that takes us through the darkness, a day that leads us into might, a day that makes us want to celebrate the light. A day that brings the promise that one day we'll be free to live, to laugh, to dream, to grow, to trust, to love, to be.
As the song ends, all the Wookiees in the hall walk onto the platform past our heroes. Chewbacca spends a few moments reflecting on their adventures. Back home, Chewbacca and his family are seated at the dinner table for a Life Day meal. They join hands and lower their heads. Another successful Life Day. As we pan out on Kazook, light can be seen coming out of all the treehouse windows. The end. Well, thanks everybody for watching. The Our Town Podcast presents the Star Wars Holiday Special parody radio play.
I think you mean parody.
Well, you know, and only people that actually heard that little discussion in the events page would know what the hell we're talking about when we say parody. But it was funny as hell. It was funny as hell. So it's good for us anyway.
It's going to be a running joke for sure.
The 6 people that might have heard it on there. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, everybody out there in podcast land. Thanks for watching and listening to our production, our very first Our Town Presents. I hope to be many more. And this was a parody of the Star Wars special that came out, guys, November 17th, 1978. So what did we do the math on that? Somebody did the math. It's like 45 years ago. Does that sound right? Yeah. 40,
something like that.
45.
That hurts a lot.
It does. And it aired on CBS. It aired on CBS and in Canada at the same time, that date, and never again on American TV. Never, ever again. It preempted, I believe, the Hulk and the Wonder Woman series for the night, and it was like a couple hours of variety show extravaganza.
It's got some big talent.
It really does. It was one that the Star Wars folks, the producers of Star Wars, and Kenner, who had come out with the Star Wars toys, really wanted to capitalize, and they thought that a variety show was the way to do it, right? And in fact, a lot of the cast had appeared in a variety, no pun intended, of variety show programs. They had been on other stuff, and places like Donnie and Marie Show had done a parody. The Muppet Show had done a parody. So they thought, hey, let's cash in on this, right? Let's do a thing. And so at the time, George Lucas was actually moving his studio. So he had very limited involvement with this, other than to say, I'll give you access to the prop, warehouse. And he had an idea to do a film around Kashyyyk, right? He had this idea to do this film around Wookies. And so that's kind of what led, this sort of drive to do this Wookiee sort of centered storyline.
Bonkers.
Yeah, but he didn't really have much involvement other than that in it. And they turned it over to a school chum of his, a guy that had gone to, and I can't remember the guy's name. You can look it up on Wikipedia or whatever. But they'd gone to that guy to direct this thing. And I'm not sure
You're saying he didn't do a whole lot of work after this. Is that
well, I don't recognize the name. He doesn't seem like he was a big time name. But
went straight into VHS porn.
And this guy actually directed a few segments and then dropped out himself. And they brought in yet another guy to sort of come in and finish it up. So it's kind of just a rambling mishmash of different things going on with this, right?
Well, according to IMDb, Steve Binder and David Akamba.
So David Akamba was the guy that went to school with George Lucas, and the other guy came in to finish it, I think is how that worked out. Okay. So the second guy, the not the David Akamba, but the other guy, Steve Binder, is that what you said?
Yeah.
He's the one that did the majority of it. So he's the blame, if you want to blame somebody for that.
I think there's plenty of blame to go around. It's like, and God bless B. Arthur and Art Connie and all those guys.
They got a pretty good list of who's who back then, and they got the whole the majority of the cast to come out in the original Star Wars cast.
Is that a contractual obligation?
I don't know if it was or not, but
by the script.
Yeah, I don't know what the paycheck. That would be interesting to see what the paychecks were.
It was probably mounds of cocaine.
Yeah, I don't know. But speaking of the cast, the reactions to it is Harrison Ford said he never watched it. He went on like Conan O'Brien in 2008 or something and was asked about it. Said, I never watched it. I don't know. Cash a check. Mark Hamill says he only watched some of it. Anthony Daniels, C-3PO himself, he basically called it a turd, quote, turd.
I wonder if he said it all classy like C3
It's a turd. Carrie Fisher, I think, was the best. She said that she made George Lucas give her a copy of the special in exchange for recording commentary for the Star Wars trilogy so that she would, quote, have something for parties when she wanted everyone to leave. She just put that on, which is great. So, it came out 78, man, and it was everything late 70s glory, right? It had the disco feel. It had the 70s special effects. It had the porn stashes. It had, all kinds of that 70s feel.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier, sort of off air, but Mike and I don't really have any memory of when it came out. Todd says he has some vague memories of it.
I mean, like I said, the memory I have is we were visiting my cousins over in Eastern Washington, and the TV was on, and I look over and I saw Chewbacca. I was like, "What's this?" Started watching it, and then the channel got changed because somebody else didn't want to watch it anymore. Because apparently it was even bad back then.
Well,
but
it never made it to air again. So
I like I said, I remember the Wookiee part, and I have a memory of the cartoon that was involved with it. Thinking that was cool, and I wanted to see more of that.
And that animated version was the segment was probably the only interesting thing. I mean, it was all interesting.
Sure, but as a kid, I would have really enjoyed that, I think, because it was an animation style that I would have enjoyed. And it's the first appearance of Boba Fett, man.
Yeah, it
so
is,
it's like, and Boba Fett's always cool. Always.
Yeah.
So I would have, I believe, been stoked on that. And I feel like I would have remembered that, right, if I had seen it at the time. So,
well, here's another quick fun fact for you. Sorry, Todd. That toy company just a few years ago actually made a Boba Fett action figure based on that animation part. I don't know. I think it was a limited edition thing. So if you can find it, it's probably worth several $100 or something.
It's probably on Hasbro Pulse.
It might have been. It was probably before Hasbro Pulse came. When did Hasbro Pulse start? Anyway, they put it out. Check it out if you can find it. I'd love to see a picture of it.
Hasbro Pulse does have the Chewbacca wearing the red robe.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, it's one of their limited edition things they have right now.
And I think Life Day, which if you watched it, you know this. It was all surrounding Life Day and Chewbacca trying to get home to celebrate with his family. Life Day kind of became canon, right?
It did in the sequel trilogy is when it became canon. Because somebody mentions it, or either in that, or it's in like one of the other side quest movies, like Rogue One or Solo. I mean, it was probably Solo, actually.
I know that animated Lego on Disney Plus has a Life Day with Rey running around.
It's the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's probably not. I mean, it's not canon because it's
Lego,
goofy and Lego.
Well, no, it's. I think anything that's on video or in movies is canon. I think it's the way they put it. So I mean,
anything that's Disney now is
anything that's been produced and released as a movie or TV show or video game, I think, are all considered canon.
Yeah. Well, I think Todd and I were just turned 7 when this thing came out.
Yeah.
Mike, you were around that age as well. I don't remember hardly anything from when I was 7, but
I remember Star Wars like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I really do. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, just the whole sensation of it being on the block. And, I mean, you kind of change memories as time goes on. Right. But,
yeah, and I'll ask you guys your favorite Star Wars memories towards the end of this little segment we're doing. But how about we do a segment called The Good, the Bad, and the Harvey Korman?
Nice.
Because Harvey Korman was all over that thing. Besides Saundan, the traitor, Mike's part, he probably had one of the biggest roles in that thing because he was in 3 different scenes in that holiday special.
Was Saundan. So
that's what I'm saying. What did I say?
You said Corman.
Oh, no, Corman had, besides Saundan, I think Corman had the biggest role.
He had 2 or 3 different characters, though.
He had 3 different characters. He played the Chef Gourmanda, which was a ripoff of a funny 4-armed Julia Roberts that...
Julia Childs?
Julia Childs that... Julia Roberts, it would have been even more interesting.
Yeah, right?
She would have been like 8 or 9 at the time, but yeah, he does a chef impersonation that Mala watches. He does an android named Dromboid, which is in an instructional video because Saundan gives, if you've heard that Saundan gives Lumpy a little radio transmitter that he uses to draw the Imperials away, and there's a how-to video to put this thing together, and he plays like a robot that's malfunctioning and all, a droid that's malfunctioning. And then there's a bar scene with B. Arthur on Mos Eisley that he plays an unrequited love for B. Arthur, who breaks out in song during the thing, which is great. And his alien character, you actually pour the liquid into the top of his head like a little mini volcano. Do you remember that? It's so bizarre. There's a bunch of scenes that we didn't do just because if we had done them, it would have been a ton of narration. I would have gone, laryngitis. I would have gone hoarse trying to do that much narration, and it probably would have been like 3 hours long. So we cut out those scenes because they were just too sort of complicated to include. We also didn't do the animation portion that we talked about a little bit ago.
Maybe we should do that one next year. Do the animated one, the section.
Oh man, we can. I just think the narration part was going to be. But I can try to write it. It might work.
Maybe we can, split up the narration between the three of us.
Yeah,
that may make it easier on you.
Yeah, maybe so.
Mm-hmm. Can you not to sideline anything here, but can you guess what the star rating is on IMDb for the holiday special?
Oh man, I'm going to do 5.6, solid 5.6.
Out of what?
Out of
10.
Out of 10. Yeah.
10.
Did you
for the Star Wars? I did see over there, but I don't know. It's really badly done.
It's 2.1.
2.1? Oh man.
Not even 2.5. 2.1.
How many people is it?
Let's see. It doesn't say how many people have voted, but it's like majority of people voted at 1. One person, I think me, voted at 9, and there's a few people that
Todd's bringing up the average.
Yeah, that's great.
And there's a bunch of people
if
that
Todd
voted
wasn't on there, it would have been 1.2.
I think a lot of people also voted 10 too. It looks like 'cause if you look at the thing here, it's like it's
but
mostly
nobody
1.
could possibly
but then
mean
the
that.
second is 2 and 3, and then 10, and then 4, 5, and the rest. So
yeah. Man, oh man. But yeah, Harvey Korman, just a brilliant, funny dude. We all remember from the Carol Burnett show.
And Blazing Saddles.
Just a ton of good stuff. And what a sport to come on and do this kooky variety show thing. And not only him, but friggin' Art Carney. Was a huge part of it. Saundan.
One of the kings of comedy.
Yes.
I think I've been around for, even at that point, he'd been around for
He was Ralph
30
Cramden's
years,
best friend.
30
He
or
was
more.
the inspiration for Barney.
He sure, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And he's got probably the biggest single role in the whole show.
And he's done, he did film. That guy's been around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but CBS, I'm trying to think, because it was, at their studios. It's not like they had contracts with these guys. This was a one-off for... Because Carney wasn't on television at the time.
I don't know. He might have been doing some... I don't know that he was doing a series at that point, but...
He may not have been on camera. He may have been like producer or writer or something.
Yeah. But it was a good one-time check because Star Wars was hot.
It was hot,
so
man. It was big.
Because like you say, them and Kenner were trying to cash in, which they were doing anyway. Did they really need to do another?
Well,
and
who knows?
This came out, 2 years before Empire came out? So.
It was hot.
Yeah.
The kids were still talking about it and buying every Kenner thing their parents would kick
Allow
down
them.
for.
Yeah.
If you guys want a good chuckle, you got to check out the reviews on IMDb for it.
Oh, nice. Oh.
It's like, the first one here says, "Don't talk to me about episode 1 until you watch this unholy mess."
Oh, man. And it is just, it is bizarre. We talked about it being a cocaine fever dream, right?
It's just crazy.
Yeah, so there's other scenes that we deleted. There was a scene where they do, if you watched this, if you listen to this from us, you've seen the original Star Wars where Chewbacca and the droids are playing that chess game with the holographic battling creatures.
Let the Wookiee win.
They do sort of Lumpy and Itchy actually have one of those tables, and they sit and play. They watch these jugglers doing their thing. So I mean, again, it was not something we could include, unfortunately, in ours because it's more visual that way. There's also a scene where
a weird scene.
Do you know where I'm going? Where Itchy gets into the mind evaporator, which is just a crazy name for a VR device,
VR
right?
headset.
But he gets into the mind evaporator, and he watches Diane Carroll come out, and Diane Carroll, and this is quote that she tells Itchy, Chewbacca's father, that she is his fantasy, and suggestively invites him to experience her. I mean, it's just like, now if I'm 7, right, I'm not really catching what they're laying down.
Part with Boba Fett that you had rumored.
I think this section of the special was for the adults to be like, yeah, you go play with your toys.
But it's not. It's not overtly sexual. I mean, it's sexy. Diane Carroll's a sexy person.
It was 1978 sexy.
Yeah, I guess so. Disco sexy.
Disco, taffeta.
I mean, if you're high on cocaine, anything's sexy, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
It's bonkers.
It's bonkers. It's just a bonkers scene, and they did. They did that, and they did
because it's so obviously for kids. This whole special is like so absolutely
it's dumbed down.
Yes,
for
more
kids.
than by far more kid-like than any other Star Wars thing.
Yes, with the goofy.
So then why throw that scene?
I don't get it. It just really didn't make any sense to me.
It's really
it had to be like a producer going, you know what this part needs? We need Diane Carroll trying to seduce the
weird Itchy character.
The weird Itchy Chewbacca's dad.
The old Wookiee who has no teeth.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, because, like, if we were to go to Pornhub here on Earth, and I haven't tried this yet, maybe I will when I go home, but look up Wookiee porn. And I wonder if something comes up, and I'm wondering if on Kashyyyk, people, the Wookiees are looking up human porn. It's kind of the vice versa of that.
We got lots of it. We make bullets and porn. That's our major export to the cosmos.
I think human porn's probably blocked on their browsers.
It could be, yeah. I don't know. And then there was a scene that we didn't get to, and you'll hear the music, not the original song, because we didn't use the original music or sound effects. But it's a Jefferson Starship song.
Oh, yeah.
And Saundan, hooks up the Imperial Guard to listen to it, and it's just a stupid, really, really stupid. And this is the band that did We Built This City on Rock and Roll, which is one of the worst classic rock songs that still gets airplay.
Oh, yeah.
But they do this song.
And I mean, even that version of Airplane had, what was their big song? Not Carrie.
Gray Slick?
No.
Even the big song. Oh, that version of it, what their song was?
Yeah.
Besides We Built This City?
Yeah, they had a couple big songs that weren't terrible.
Yeah.
And isn't that Marty Balin? The guy can sing.
Yeah.
I mean, he really can.
I think that Marty, and then Marty left actually before the special came out. So this was like his last performance with them until like 93 when he rejoined the band or something.
Evidently, it's not easy to.
But Gray Slick had left by then. But what's the guitarist that was?
Craig Chiquito.
Was that?
He was in this point.
Was he still? Yeah, he was all the way through, right?
Not in the Airplane, but for Starship he was.
Okay, gotcha. Because it was the other guy. Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
I can't even. But when it was Airplane, when they started. And great band back in the day.
Just the Haight Ashbury knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge.
Yeah. So they do a video on that. It's just a really bad music video with pink lights and stuff. I can't remember it either. But it did come out on 45 shortly after the holiday special, and they got some good airplay on it and stuff.
Yeah, that's Craig is up in the tippy top there, and I was Facebook friends with that guy.
Were you really?
Yeah,
nice.
And he's a UFO
conspiracy
believer.
Yeah, believer. Nice.
Yeah.
So obviously we didn't, and speaking of that, for this, you guys probably noticed, you folks out there that listened and watched, we didn't use any licensed Lucasfilm or Disney sound effects or music.
Suing us now, bro. We will win.
I mean, it's kind of not a big deal because we use the character names and we use their
the
script
dialogue.
and stuff and the dialogue and all that. But I thought it was funny not to use actual like sound effects and music from the show. And so.
Yeah, I know it's great. Yeah. Right, it adds that extra layer of protection and giggles.
So if you guys did notice that a lot of the Wookiee sounds were made with tigers and lions, and Little Lumpy was made with little dog sounds. So hope you found that funny. And but I think that there's a couple of the tiger ones that are just perfect for Wookiees. And I think, Todd, on a earlier show, you had mentioned they like combined a walrus and
like brown bears, I think.
Yeah. So just funny.
Well, we didn't have a lot of access to walrus.
Didn't have walrus. I couldn't find walrus. And if you do, I mean, go to Pixabay, folks, if you're looking for photos, if you're looking for music, sound effects, whatever. It's a great website. And just so everybody knows out there in podcast land, we did donate to the folks that created the sound effects and the music for us. So we did pay for it and gave them credit. So...
Yeah, don't come at us.
Yeah, don't come at us, bro.
Actually.
So hopefully everybody out there that listened to it got some of our running jokes that we threw in.
Yeah.
We tried not to use Saundan's name the same in every single instance.
Change it up every.
I think we should turn that into a drinking game. How many different ways?
Nice.
People are going to give.
No, that's good for you.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it a lot more until you're like sick.
Until you're praying to the porcelain god.
Saundan.
Yeah, so Saundan, the Kazook, Kashyyyk, Kazook.
Yes, yeah. Because in the thing it was called Kazook, and I think Lucas came up with Kashyyyk, after this holiday special. But they had to come up with something, right?
I think at the time of the original movie, they didn't have a name for the Wookiee home planet. So Kazook was probably the original title for it. And
probably.
He's like, yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And when did you guys read like a Splinter of the Mind's Eye and stuff like that? Those were early.
Oh, the early novels?
Yeah, like right after the first, A New Hope anyway, the first film. A couple of different novels came out. So they were kind of just exploring the turf.
Yeah.
But it was...
I got the comic. My mom started getting me the comic series. And the first 4 episodes, the first 4 issues were all about the movie. And then after that, it was like space pirates, and you had, guys putting on like gas masks to go out and into space, into the vastness, and shoot at each other with lasers.
I mean, why not?
Like, nobody's freezing out there. Come on.
Yeah, well, you get cooked from the inside with the cosmic rays.
Yeah, and so none of these characters, other than the mainstay, ever showed up again, right? I mean, they didn't use... Saundan was never around.
I think Art Carney died in the early 80s, didn't he?
Oh, did he really?
I think so.
I don't know.
So nothing really canon about this whole thing.
No.
But I don't know. I've seen it a couple 3 times in putting this all together and writing and stuff, and I actually kind of think it's fun and funny. And I'm not hating on it.
According to Wikipedia, he lived till 2003, so I was entirely wrong.
Oh, jeez. Well, good for him.
Yeah. Carney.
How old was he in 2000? He was born in 1918.
Whoa. Jeez. So he was 60 in 78.
No, I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah, he looks like he could be about 60.
Yeah. 1918.
Got that nice, finely coiffed hair.
Oh, yeah, no, what a guy.
The wings on the back. Yeah, man, I don't know. It was I thought it was fun, and I had a great time putting this all together. The other funny one that we sort of changed was that end scene, the end song in the episode, if you guys ever watch it out there in podcast land, Princess Leia actually sings the song that our friend Sarah does in the thing. And while she was here recording, we thought it'd be kind of funny if she did it in Captain Kirk, Rocket Man version. And I fucking thought that was awesomely great instead of her singing it.
Smacked it like first
She
take.
just was great. Yeah.
That kid.
Yeah, she didn't have to do it a second time. She just nailed it first time.
Yeah, the Shatner cadence. Yeah, it's great. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so appreciated that. That was great.
Yeah, Sarah. Yeah,
Sarah.
Yeah, no, what a great, I mean, she did a great job.
Great sport. Yeah, coming all the way down.
Sport.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody that came out, and Bailey and Heather and Eli and everybody that donated their voices to it. We really couldn't have done this without them, so we appreciate it. So, anyway, before we get to our biggest Star Wars memories, here's a fun fact for you guys. Prior to the specials airing, right, Kenner Toy Company thought this was going to be a big thing, right? This is going to be a hit. Right, it's going to be a yearly tradition for people. So they started to create a toy line based on the special. Right, so they had created several prototypes, probably of Mala and Itchy and all those guys.
Mold makers,
they had
the
whole thing.
Source plastic, source dye, source all the containers, all the everything, man.
Figure out the sizes, all that stuff. So, but because the unpopularity of the special, the project was canceled. But there are known versions of the figures out there somewhere.
Oh, they'd be.
I wonder how much those things are worth.
That would be cool.
They depicted Chewbacca's family, and they're basically just simple modifications of the Chewbacca one, but
it's all the He-Man dolls. And why is Itchy's face all kind of fucked up?
What do you mean, Mike?
Well, I don't know. His weird bottom lip thing is weird, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't seem a little odd. Nobody else is that way.
Years of chewing tobacco.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, man. Poor Itchy.
Yeah, Itchy.
Itchy. Do we know in canon how, because Wookiees live a long time, right?
I mean, Chewbacca, at the point that he met Han, I think he was like 800.
Wow.
What, that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
when they first met. So, yeah.
He ranks up there with the Yodas.
Yeah, geez. Yeah, Yoda's 900 something.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
It may be longer than them. It's all that clean living.
Here you go.
So.
If you go to StarWarsHolidaySpecial.com, there are pictures of the prototype toys.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. It's basically a Chewbacca figure, just different colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, Kenner didn't lose out that bad.
Kenner made a lot of money.
I would be flabbergasted otherwise. I know, a lot goes into making stuff like that, but it's not like they only made 3 of each toy, right? They sold a lot of those things.
Stuff, yeah.
And I think they probably do have like holiday special figures by now because of
all the attention it's getting. Yeah, because there is, and we mentioned this in the show, there is a documentary about it that came out this year on the 45th anniversary and all that stuff. It's got Kevin Smith and Gilbert Gottfried and a bunch of people that talk about it, Donny Osmond and stuff. So I don't know where you can find it. It's probably out in theaters or streaming. I'll probably watch it once I get a chance to. But
there's the Chewbacca's son, there's an action figure on Dribble.com with three B's. Is it just a kind of a one-off thing? What is not? It doesn't show anything else other than there's cover art and the blister pack thing.
Well, what will that set you back, Todd?
It doesn't say. It just says the quintessential Star Wars action figure that Kenner never made, so I made it. Figure sculpt, paint apps, package design, and illustration done with by yours truly. Yeah, it was a fan-made thing, it looks like.
Nice. Well, good on him.
Yeah, so sue that guy, not us.
Yeah, go after
Right?
Disney. Let's share some of our in this thing, because I know everybody's been watching for a couple hours and stuff. And if you're still here, we
They were
appreciate
waiting
you.
for this
They
part,
were. This
yeah.
is the part they all needed.
They had to swim through that lava to get to this.
Let's share our one biggest Star Wars memory, because Star Wars is so ingrained in our lives, right? Who wants to start?
I guess I can go. I mean, my biggest memory is, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, when I think it was the same year as this special came out, my mom rented the movie on reel to reel.
Wow.
And got a projector to watch the movie at home. This is before everybody had VHS copies of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's before
So,
VHS.
yeah. My mom was the best.
Nice.
Jeez, that's awesome.
Was that was for a birthday party or something?
Yeah, it was I think my 7th or 8th birthday, yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I guess it would have been 7th. It was the same year, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah,
Do you
well,
have
geez, I hate to be a copycat, but mine is going down to either the UA-70 or the UA-150.
Which
downtown
is in Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, the twin,
I think
theaters.
we did the same thing.
Yeah, and it was
spent
a
like 2
Blockbuster.
hours.
Yeah, stand in line with my mom. My mom took me. Yeah, and we hung out in line together to go see Star Wars.
Nice. And was that the first viewing of it? The first one that you saw and you guys saw?
Yep. Okay. That was, the first. It was
because it had come out. Everybody was like,
"Oh, yeah, it was a blockbuster. It was huge." And I don't think we didn't go like opening fucking day or nothing. But I'm sure it was after me just like non-stop griping about it.
I think had we gone first day, we wouldn't have been waiting in line for 3.5 hours.
Sure. Yeah. I guess maybe it did take time to become a phenom, right?
Yeah.
But it was unreal.
Yeah.
And I just remember, just being delighted.
Nice.
So, thanks, Mom.
Nice. Thanks, Mom.
I know.
Man, I remember. So mine would probably be in the summer, and I don't know what year this was, but it would have been in the 80s. The movie theater that was up on Broadway, it was like Broadway and John, and I think it's a pay and save now. It's just half a block north of Dick's Drive-In there. Me and my buddy Aaron and my buddy Alex went to the theater because the entire week, and this was it had to have been summer break, but they did a marathon where they played it every day. And we went every day for 5 days. And I remember it too, because they also did, before they showed Star Wars, they did a serial. And I want to say it was either Zorro or it was, Lone Ranger. And I remember trying to get to the theater to make sure we could see, because it always ended on the cliffhanger and you had to get back the next day. Yeah. So we went to that, but we watched Star Wars in the theater every day for 5 days straight. And by the end of it, we were kind of like shooting spitballs up in the air and stuff, and, messing around as young preteen or teenage boys do. But I remember Aaron kept launching spitballs up, and we could see him come down the screen, right? Especially when like Darth Vader was on the screen. And at the end of the movie, this guy walked up and with his girlfriend, and he had this big wad of paper towels that were wet, and he threw it at us and hit me and Alex because we were shooting this, because Aaron was shooting the spitballs. He didn't get hit. Me and Alex did. Friggin' Aaron. But yeah, I just remember that sticks out in my mind, that this guy was so pissed at the spitballs coming down that he threw that big wad of paper towels at us. But yeah, I think there's so many little Star Wars stuff, man, that I remember from my youths, because we were so just, Star Wars was it, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was it for a while.
It really was. It really was.
Apparently, you can get the Chewbacca with the robe plushie from the parks, the Star Wars, the Disney parks.
Yeah.
At the Galaxy's Edge.
All right.
I was just looking to see if there was any official toys, not just fan-made shit.
Is he holding a golden orb?
Yeah.
He is holding an orb.
Oh, well,
I'll be.
Life Day.
Does that make it canon then?
Since
Disney's selling it?
If it's sold at the Disney store, at the parks, probably.
Yeah.
That's got to be canon now.
Well, if you want to watch the holiday special, now that you've gotten warmed up by the Our Town Podcast Presents, go to YouTube. It's all the way on there. And then I think Todd mentioned a couple times that the animated segment of it is on Disney Plus, which I highly recommend to do that because it is an interesting little story.
It's an 8-minute clip, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It is, and the anime style is a trip.
It is very cool. Yeah.
And I wonder, how you can take what's the Oz movie with Judy Garland?
Oh, Wizard of Oz.
And you can take that and Pink Floyd and squeeze them together.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if you could take our Parody and play it at the same time you're watching
the animated special.
It'll be just like that.
Oh,
I bet you it syncs up really great with the Black Album.
Nice. That's worth a try.
I mean, not hating on it. Not hating on it, guys.
Metallica, folks. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So go check it out. But we would love some reaction to, if you're still with us, some reaction to our hard work on putting this thing together. So comment down below, like it, share it, tell your friends. Make this a holiday tradition for you.
Yes.
Every year, jump on and listen to us and the holiday special.
Maybe once a week.
Maybe once a week. I wouldn't
5
hate on
times in a
that.
week, even. I mean,
yeah, you can throw as many spitballs in your own home as you want.
And not fear getting slammed with a big wad of paper towels.
So that is a perk.
Nice. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you out there in podcast land for sticking with us, and we will see you on the regular show.
Thank you.
Cheers.